Hey everybody, welcome to Vacuum Wars, and today I'm going to talk about some recent robot vacuum news and releases from some big companies like Neato and iRobot. I wanted to go over some of the new features and specs of these new robot vacuums and compare them to some of these companies' previous models. I will eventually do full reviews on everything I'll mention here, but in the meantime, links in the description and let's get started. Earlier this month, Neato announced its long-awaited new lineup of robot vacuums, which they are calling the Neato D8, D9, and D10, and they say that they will be released later this fall. All three of these robots retain the main things that have made Neatos great, like their signature D-shaped design, super wide brush rolls, and huge dustbins. The new lineup seems to have the same so-called laser smart LiDAR navigation system, which was on the previous models. All three of them also have the No-Go Lines app feature, which Neato helped to popularize a couple years ago, though the app has been updated and there are a number of new features which I will get into in a minute. The main differences between these three new robots revolve around the same basic things that usually separate different price points with Neato, namely battery life, filtration, exterior design, and features. For example, the new flagship, the D10, boasts a 6200 mAh battery, up from 4200 on the previous flagship, the D7, which will give the user 150 minutes of battery life on low power, which is about as high as you will see on a robot vacuum, and that's up from 120 minutes on the D7. The D9 and D8 have 120 and 90 minutes respectively, due to them having smaller batteries. The D10 also has a true HEPA filter, filtering out 99.97% of particles down to 0.3 microns, where the D9 filter filters out 99.5, and the D8 just has a standard filter with no specific percentage listed in the promotional material. The finishes and exterior design are a bit different as well, with the main thing being that the D10 has a much more premium feel, with a lot of metal being incorporated into the design. The D10 seems to have a new feature called Pet Mode, where it increases the suction and possibly alters the spin of the brush or some other behavior in order to be better with pet hair, a feature which seems to be exclusive to the D10. All three of these are going to use the newly designed MyNeato app. They will all have a streamlined setup process as well. Neato says it will be the, quote, shortest setup process in the industry, which I'm assuming is a response to some negative feedback with the previous setup process. It also looks like all three of these are going to have the multi-level mapping feature for multiple floor houses, so it can create a map for each floor of the house up to 3 floor plans, which previously only the D7 have. They will also now work with Siri commands as well as Alexa and Google Assistant commands. I didn't see any language in the promotional material about new processors, better navigation, or more power, which doesn't mean these don't have any of those things. Neato's never really mentioned their power in promotional material at all, but based on the battery size and stated battery life, I think it may have some serious power, so I'll be interested to test that out when they are released. Moving on to iRobot, which just released their new i3 and i3 Plus robot vacuums. Their third robot to include the clean base, which regular Vacuum Wars reviewers know I'm a big fan of. The main idea with the i3 Plus is that it's a more affordable option than the i7 Plus or the S9 Plus, and the reason it's more affordable is because it doesn't have a camera for mapping your home. Instead, it uses a floor tracking system, which is supposed to accomplish more or less the same thing, meaning that just like the i7 or the S9, it will clean in nice, neat rows. I've ordered mine and should be reviewing it next week, so I'm excited to see how it stacks up to the i7 and S9 in terms of navigation and performance. The i3 has another feature called a reactive sensor, which iRobot says, quote, tells the robot where it can and cannot reach, which means less getting stuck on furniture and more knowing where to go. I expect that the i3 is going to be very similar to the i7 in terms of its basic cleaning ability. iRobot says it has the same suction power as the i7, and from what I can tell from the pictures, it has the same basic brushes as the i7 as well. It seems that the clean base with the i3 Plus is the same basic design as the i7 Plus, but the robot itself is an all-new look, which is designed in part to resist fingerprints and smudges. iRobot has recently rolled out a totally new app with lots of new features, but as far as how it pertains to the i3, it seems that the new software will give the user more options and recommendations about scheduling cleanings and more integrations with various smart home systems. Stay tuned to Vacuum Wars for the in-depth hands-on review of both the Neato series and the Roomba i3 Plus coming up very soon. Links in the description, and thanks for watching.